Have you ever witnessed a moment so pure, so unexpected, that it made you stop and believe in kindness again? This is the story of a single dad who worked as a school janitor, a man everyone overlooked. Yet on one ordinary day, he changed everything with nothing more than a bottle of bubbles. What he didn't know was that while he was trying to calm a broken little girl, someone powerful was silently watching. A billionaire mother who would never forget what she saw. Before we begin, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Gentle Words, because what you're about to hear will stay with you long after the story ends. The janitor's name was Daniel, and to most people, he was invisible. He wore the same faded work uniform every day, carried his mop bucket down the halls of the elementary school, and moved quietly in and out of classrooms after the children left. But what people didn't know was that behind the weary eyes and calloused hands was a father who would do anything for his daughter, Emily. Emily was 7 years old, bright and curious, and Daniel's whole world revolved around her. His wife had passed away when Emily was just a toddler, and since then, every smile, every bedtime story, every packed lunch had been his way of keeping her safe in a world that sometimes felt too big and too cruel. Daniel worked nights at a grocery store stocking shelves, and mornings at the school as a janitor, often skipping meals himself to make sure Emily never went without. To him, exhaustion was nothing compared to the joy of seeing her little face light up each morning. But this story isn't just about sacrifice. It's about a single act of kindness that no one saw coming. That morning had been harder than usual. Emily had woken up crying, missing her mom, asking questions Daniel didn't always know how to answer. He had hugged her tightly, whispered that everything was going to be okay, and packed her favorite sandwich in her lunchbox. By the time he arrived at work, his heart was already heavy. The school halls buzzed with children laughing, running, calling to their friends, but Daniel, pushing his mop bucket, drifted like a ghost among them. Then he saw her, the girl who would change everything. She was sitting alone on the steps just outside the gym, shoulders shaking, her small hands covering her face. Teachers hurried past, students chattered nearby, but no one stopped. Something inside Daniel tugged at him, that instinct only parents truly understand. Without thinking, he parked his cart to the side and walked over slowly, lowering himself onto the step a respectful distance away. He didn't speak right away. He just sat, waiting, letting her know she wasn't invisible. After a long pause, the girl lifted her tear-streaked face. Her eyes were red, her lips trembling, and Daniel's heart clenched. "Rough day, huh?" he said softly, his voice carrying no judgment, only warmth. She nodded without speaking, hiccuping as another tear slipped down her cheek. He could have walked away. He could have told himself it wasn't his place. But Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out something he always carried, not for work but for Emily. A small plastic bottle of bubbles. He carried them because Emily loved them, because no matter how dark the day seemed, bubbles could always coax out a giggle. Twisting off the cap, he dipped the wand and blew gently. A cluster of shimmering bubbles floated into the air, catching the sunlight, spinning like tiny rainbows. The girl's eyes widened just a little. She sniffled, watching as one bubble drifted close and popped softly against her shoe. Daniel smiled. They don't last long, but while they're here, they make the world look a little prettier, don't they? For the first time, the girl gave a tiny, hesitant smile. She reached out as another bubble floated her way, and when it landed on her finger before bursting, she laughed. A sound that was fragile but real. What Daniel didn't know was that across the hall, hidden partly by the doorway of the principal's office, a woman was standing still watching. Her name was Victoria Caldwell. A billionaire businesswoman whose reputation was as sharp as the skyscraper she owned downtown. She had come to the school for a private meeting about her daughter, but what she saw instead stopped her cold. Because the little girl sitting on those steps, the one Daniel was blowing bubbles for, was her own daughter, Lily. And for weeks now, Victoria had been trying to reach her, trying to soothe her after long, lonely nights in an empty mansion, but nothing had worked. Now here was a janitor, a man she had never noticed before, somehow doing what she, with all her wealth and power, could not, calming her child's storm with nothing more than patience, gentleness, and bubbles. Victoria Caldwell stood frozen in the hallway, her manicured hands tightening around the leather strap of her handbag as she watched the janitor with her daughter. She was a woman,